All right, hello everybody. It is Thursday, December 2nd, 2021, and today is a very special episode, maybe the most special episode that we've had, because this is the first time that we have Steve... Fuck, a ring light just fell on my head.
Nope, that's okay.
This is the first time that we have Steve Racine here, in person, live, in studio, together. The Racine brothers, there's not a screen separating us. He's here in person in my... baby's room / office. The thing is, the baby doesn't have a bedroom right now because he sleeps in the bed with us. We're raising him Italian.
Yeah,
as I said on the last podcast that I did.
Yeah, well, Mom told me about that. She said she said
I'm sure she's got some opinions on it, right?
No,
I don't
no,
give a fuck
no,
what she thinks.
she was totally under. No, of course, she was like, you're
Why would you, wait a minute? Why would you not let your baby sleep in a bed with you? Is my question.
Well, I mean, Mom, like, she was probably always like, I need to make these kids independent. So, she was allowed that for the first 2 months. And then...
I know. Well, I was thinking about that today. It's like this whole thing about like making your kid. So there's like and we were talking about this already, but there's like schools of thought in parenting where there's like the self-soothe thing, right? Now there is a thing where now Deb did send me an article where they say like, if your baby's crying, put him in the crib. Close the door, let him soothe himself, let him cry it out, and let him fall asleep. And they say it's going to be tough. It's going to break your heart. You're going to want to go in there and tend to your baby. But if you just let them self-soothe, they'll figure it out, and they'll get used to putting themselves to sleep. Now, every time my kid is crying, I pick him up, and he stops crying. And it's like it's weird that there's a school, but I did hear that from somebody that the self-soothe thing does work, right?
Yeah, I thought I heard that from Mom though.
Yeah, I heard it from a person that I know who I don't really like respect.
You only hear it from people who like are probably shitty parents.
I heard it from someone who I think might be a shitty parent. But I love that there's a school of thought of parenting where it's like, oh, you know what actually works is not getting off your ass. Just leave the kid there and they'll figure it out. And there's this whole like, and I do feel like when you look at when we like reflect on our family, I think our family did a lot of things wrong. I don't know if they did anything right. I think the only thing they did right was have white skin. Like the only thing that like helped them in life was their fucking white skin. Our grandfather was funny and a great guy. It still is.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, still kicking.
Yeah.
But this mentality of like that I've carried around my whole life, and you go to therapy and I don't, and I should go to therapy. But this mentality that I've carried around my whole life of like, you gotta power through, and you gotta fucking. No one's gonna fucking help you, you fucking pussy. Like I have put so much shit on myself. I've internalized so much, and I think I've missed out on life by not being like community or not by being this by adopting this sort of like individualistic mindset.
Well, I want to tell you that it's a lot worse than just that. That like when you have that mentality of suck it up and get through. Like, no one's going to give you... Like, you inevitably...
Just cry, you fucking baby!
You inevitably turn it back on yourself.
Yeah, of course.
You're like, oh, I must be weak because I must be weak. Like, and that's not good either. Like, you're not going to be able to help the community if you hate yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, Like, they do have this, like, sense of you have to help others, but they hate themselves.
They hate themselves.
You know? And I try to give them space.
Now the other side of that coin is like waking up every day and being like, I'm great, I'm good enough, I'm beautiful, I'm 400 pounds, but I'm sexy. I haven't taken a shower in 3 days, but that's okay. Like, I mean that kind of annoys me.
Extreme.
That's the other
but
extreme.
The thing is,
yeah.
You need to be doing more of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't worry about like, oh, like, I don't want to end up like that. And it's like, well, give yourself some of that first.
Yeah. I got to tell you, the biggest, because I was thinking about this the other day. I've been doing comedy for 15 years, 14 years in New York. I think the biggest mistake that I made was like not not asking for help enough.
Right.
Not
right.
reaching out to my friends and going like, "Hey, what's going on with this?" Or, "Hey, maybe can I open for you? I wonder if they need writers?" And just like acknowledging that, like, especially a career in fucking show business is not going to be achieved alone.
Right.
It's not going to be. It's impossible to like do
No
something all by yourself and not get help from other people.
Right. Yeah, and that's a whole thing of, Mike, if you're going to start somewhere with, if you're not going to go to therapy, just maybe start listening to Brené Brown. She talks a lot about, like, the power of vulnerability.
Brené Brown?
Yeah.
Brené.
I think it's Brené.
Her name is Brené.
Yeah. If you look it up, it's probably.
Deb and I were having a conversation yesterday about slut names because there was a girl that hosted our shows in Atlanta, and her name was Alex with a Y, and Deb was like, she's a slut. Her parents made her a slut by like spelling her name differently.
Alex with the Y. Where was the Y?
Alyx.
Ew.
Yeah, I'm not here to judge any. I don't know if this girl's a slut or not. But Deb was like, she's a slut because her parents changed the spelling of her name.
No. Because
so I just feel like Brené has probably really hoarded up.
Well, Brené preaches how to be vulnerable. So if sluts are vulnerable, no. But seriously, about like asking for help.
Yeah.
That is so far gone from what we are told.
Yeah.
As like, oh, you just have to push through and do it. Like, don't complain.
Yeah.
It's like there's a difference between complaining and like asking someone for help. Or
well, human beings are social, and we operate in communities, and it's just so funny when like, I mean, it just I sometimes I look at them and I go like, God, you're all nice people, you're all hardworking people. But you're fucking failures in this way where, like...
Do you remember how much they freaked out when Obama said, like, you didn't build that business?
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the freak out from them where they were like, what the fuck does he mean? Like, they couldn't possibly reckon with the fact that don't do anything in this life without help.
And here's how easily you debunk that. You didn't build your business. Do you have employees? You do?
Right.
Do you have customers? Do you have customers that when I do a fucking moving job, if I need people to pay me money to move their shit.
Right. Yeah.
So your customers and your employees helped you build the business.
Yeah. Well, there was always that fucking Uncle Brian who was like, "Oh, well, me and my wife, we run our business."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh yeah, you want to tell us about the time when you had employees and you fired them because you didn't want to pay benefits anymore when benefits got too expensive?"
Yeah, did that happen?
Yeah, they don't like to talk about that.
Yeah.
But it happened.
He also, and we're doing this behind the paywall so we can give some dirt here.
Oh, yeah.
But he gave me a whole spiel one time about how he can't hire black investigators because he doesn't want to send them to the suburbs to follow people. So he can't hire a black guy. Never mind that he's in his fucking minivan pissing in cups. Just probably jacking off. Jacking off to fucking like Sarah Huckabee Sanders' voice. You fucking loser.
Yeah, but like even in the suburbs, he is like a target. Like a lone middle-aged man sitting in a van.
Yeah, what do you think?
That's who you're taught to.
I'd much rather have a black guy. I'd much rather have a black guy hit a car than you. You fucking loser. You fucking doughy. This is just some doughy fucking just some doughy asshole.
But also like he looks like most of his work took him.
He looks like a sex predator a little bit.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has the air of someone who's done some fucked up shit.
Yeah. And it's funny because even but they're very like angry people, and even Uncle Tommy, who's like the cool uncle, right. Like I was excited for him to meet Benjamin, and then he said something like so I gave him the baby, and then he was like he's like you better not pee your pants or it's over. Like he was like trying to be funny,
right?
But he came off like just like really like aggressive towards my fucking baby. I'm like, all right, well, you're all fucked up.
Well, it is interesting to put, Benjamin in front of them and see how they interact with him, and then like a light kind of like switches on in your head.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, if they talked like that to me,
yeah,
like it does permeate.
Yeah,
like those are the people we were around the most when we were growing up.
Yeah. And it's also because like, and the things that I do respect about them. The things that I do respect about them is they'll work 16-hour days and not ask for a raise. They have no fucking self-respect. They have such a lack of fucking dignity and self-respect.
And that's like a generational thing too. That like, you don't raise trouble at work. You don't talk about how much you make. You don't talk about how much you make. You don't ask for a raise. You earn it.
And then literally that your employer will just like fire you for no reason.
Yeah, right.
Because you told some woman her ass looked nice, and it's too expensive for them to train you not to sexually harass, and then it's bye out the door.
My first like inclination of it was when Dad lost his job during the financial crisis.
Dad, he loses his job so much when we were growing up. I feel like every 6 months he lost his job, which is pretty funny, but not to knock Daddy. I mean, he might even be listening right now.
Well, no, because Mike, it's interesting because that was like the time where banks all started merging, and it was just all about mergers, acquisitions.
Yeah.
So he was just like that guy, one of like thousands of people who just had to go find another bank to work for.
Yeah.
And if you look at the banks he worked for over the years, it is just like he went from like this tiny one to Fleet Bank, which was bought by Bank of America.
Summit Bank.
Chemical
Bank was the first bank.
Chemical Bank was yeah. And like he started
That's a cool name for a bank.
Chemical Bank.
It's like, make your kids deformed bank.
Put your money in with us and watch it grow like those companies that poisoned Tom's River.
Yeah. Like nuclear fallout bank. Just things that make you sick. Bleach bank. But what's also funny was like there's two things that kind of stick out in my mind about Dad. First was him when I remember when I was in like 8th grade or middle school, we've learned that he had like a 28-year-old boss. First of all, I don't know what Dad does, and I don't really care to know. I don't really give a shit because he's never talked about it. Yeah. All we heard growing up was that your father's got a tough job. He doesn't, like
works at a bank.
He works at a bank. I guess he's just
stress.
Like a bank. It's high stress, I guess. I guess he's like a fucking bank hump.
I have a better idea of what it is.
He's like a loan officer?
Yeah, so he does like commercial loan.
Does he work on commission?
No, it's not commission.
Yeah.
Especially
faggot.
When he was at Bank of America, God knows what he was doing there.
Right.
Because they were dealing in like hundreds of millions of dollars kind of deals.
Right.
But I know that at the place where he's at now is like when someone in the state of New Jersey applies for a business loan.
Yeah.
He's the one who reviews it.
Yeah.
And goes to his bosses and says, I think we should give these people a loan or we shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then even when he says we should, like they could just be like, yeah, but let's look. They're black. Bob, you're going to be the one to tell them no.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's the one that tells people they get.
Yeah, he's got to tell
loans.
Don Cheadle he can't approve his because he was a porn star.
Yeah,
no problem.
Yeah, actually, yeah. In every movie where there's that character
you're a pornographer. You're a pornographer. Please don't make a scene. No, fuck this, man. Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck you.
But that's
Hi, honey. How was work? Some black porn star cursed me out. But I remember like being in middle school and he was like he had like a 28-year-old boss. This guy Greg or something. So then when Pop-Up passed away, this guy Greg like came to Pop-Up's like funeral, and he like showed up and like came to the wake and everything, and he like went up to Dad and he was like, take as much time as you need, Bob. And it's so funny, like a 28-year-old. If a 28-year-old told
Greg.
me that, I'd be like, fuck you. I will.
Yeah,
I'll take 3 weeks off.
I mean,
he's like,
if I was Dad, I would have been like, get the fuck out of here,
Greg.
Greg.
My father's funeral, you fucking cunt. He just has a meltdown. That's a fun. Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck you. You fucking disrespect me in front of my kids. But I do feel. But then like so he came up a couple weeks ago and we had dinner and he was like, yeah, First of all, I don't know what the fuck he does. I have no idea what he does. He's never told me what he does.
Yeah.
Ever. So I don't really. I'm not going to ask him questions.
Yeah.
I don't even know what my father does for a living. He works for a bank. But he's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm getting up there in age, and I can start collecting Social Security if I want, and I had a pretty good year this year, but I just feel like if I don't get some of the things I want, I'm either gonna, I might walk out. I mean, I think my next evaluation, I'm really gonna give him a piece of my mind. And I think there's a little bit of like a Jerry Lundegaard situation going on over there. Like,
oh, Jesus Christ!
He just kind of like gets bitched around. I feel like he gets bitched around.
Yeah, but
a
you
lot.
know what? Like Jerry Lundegaard eventually took initiative.
Right.
And he hired those guys.
Yeah, Dad can't even hire people to kidnap our mother. But then our grandparents don't have any money. Because they're fucking factory workers. They're fucking factory workers who worked like 20-hour days and said thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe he's getting a little. I've been wanting to tell you that for a while.
Well, it was funny when the pandemic first started and they started doing the PPP loans.
Yeah.
Dad was the one who was kind of handling like all
he
their
got
clients.
Seth Simons alone.
Well, that's the thing. All their clients would submit their PPP applications through him, and the most I got out of him about that, he said that there is a lot of fishy stuff going on, and I was like, Dad, please elaborate. And he's like, well, sometimes they say they have more employees than they do.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna be the one to tell them they can't get a loan. I'm like, good. You should look at that as a good thing.
Yeah. He's like
these assholes are scamming the government.
But he's like a fucking zombie. Like Thanksgiving, we were talking about like the Bible a little bit, and I was like, I was looking into some Bible stories, and like it's crazy that God asked Abraham to kill his son. I'm like, Dad, would you kill Andrea if God asked you to? And he was like, yeah, if it was God, I would.
Wait, without like any hint of joking?
Yeah. He's a freak.
All right,
he's a fucking weird Catholic freak.
Your follow-up question should have been, how do you know it's God when you hear him?
Well,
that's when white guys go nuts and kill their families. Yeah, I heard God do it.
Maybe I'll just kill my daughter. I don't want to disobey God. I think I'll just kill my daughter and then leave. He's like, and then he was like, I'd kill any of you if God told me to.
At least Mom, when I one time I presented
just
her with the Sophie.
He's like a sicko, I think. He's like a sick freak.
No, all right, I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. No.
When I presented Mom with the Sophie's Choice dilemma,
it's just funny. He's such a boring guy that it's like I wonder. There's got to be some darkness somewhere.
I think him and Mom bonded over the fact that they sacrificed what they actually wanted to do with their lives for their parents, for their family. I think that's the thing that binds them. Because Dad never wanted to work in finance. Did Dad ever tell you he originally enrolled in college in journalism?
No, but I feel like if he was a journalist, he'd be like somebody that would be like getting dragged on Twitter every day for his bad takes. Like he'd be like a Fox News guy that just says stupid shit and gets dragged.
I mean, Dad's old enough that he could have made enough money that he would have been retired and avoided Twitter. Or also those guys love the spot.
He'd be like, well, the problem is they're taking this stimulus money and they're buying crab legs. And then you just see like 6,000 quote tweets.
Yeah, but then he'll get like a regular spot on Geraldo.
Yeah.
Like I think him and Geraldo would have been friends.
Probably been friends.
They
yeah.
would have been like stalwarts of Fox News. Like Dad would have done really
well.
He'd
probably like shoot his shot with Laura Ingraham and never get invited back. He's so horned up for like Fox News women. It's really he's like, oh, I like her.
But he used to like score a lot.
I heard he like got a lot of pussy back in the day. That's what Uncle John told me from Maryland. He said that he would show up at the restaurant every night with like a different like beautiful woman.
Hey, you want to come to my parents' restaurant and eat for free?
But that's cool though. I mean, like I wish they didn't sell that restaurant. I would have loved. I don't know. Because I was home and I was looking at some old black and white photos of the restaurant.
Oh.
And yeah, so there were
I didn't
pictures,
even know they had those.
So there were pictures of like Nona and Pop, their wedding, and then there were pictures of like Aunt Lela when she was younger and her husband, and then there was a picture of Dad and Uncle John as kids.
Oh.
Yeah, Dad was probably like a teenager and Uncle John was
shit.
11 or 12. Yeah, so but it's cool like the aspect of like I don't know. If I had a time machine, I would think I would just go back to that restaurant.
I mean, I kind of
wish
that they didn't force their sons to like go to college and get better paying jobs. Like Uncle Carl was more than happy to do that. But I bet if Pop Up and Nona said like, "Hey, Robert, we want you to take over the restaurant."
Yeah, but he can't work. He can't work to save it. He doesn't do manual
No,
labor.
he would have done what Pop Up did. The business side.
Yeah.
Pop Up didn't like lift a pot.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy to think. But it is great about the restaurant. I was doing some research about it just to, have some kind of family pride. And there's this group on Facebook that's like dedicated to the Berg restaurants, like old restaurants from Chambersburg.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a lot of old people talking about how like
it's just a sexual harassment ran rampant at this New Jersey restaurant.
No, they talked about how the chicken cacciatore was the best they ever had. Like that's what they were known for.
Yeah.
And yeah, like ever since then, that's like, I remember that was the first time I was really sad about our family.
Yeah.
When they were, so I was like, what happened to the restaurant? Like, we sold it to this guy who just let it run down.
Nona said that Nona told me that when they sold the restaurant, the person that they sold it to was like, they sold it to a family or something, and the family was like, they made some joke where they were like, "Yeah, we hate people," and Nona was like, "Well, how do you like hate people and how are you gonna hate people and run a restaurant?"
Yeah.
But it wasn't. They weren't like their heart wasn't in it.
Yeah. Right.
Which is like sad, but also it's like good. You know, she deserves a little break. They sold it 87 the year that I was born.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was a couple years earlier. That's amazing.
I think it was 87. I don't know. But anyway, before we wrap this up, I mean, like, you're an uncle now, you know? So now you have a chance, and the kid, you know, he doesn't talk yet, so you got some time to figure this out. But it's like, you got to think about, like, what do you want to pass down? Because we didn't have much passed down to us. We did learn to call people by their names, which is a good lesson.
You mean, like, to call them by, like, Mr. and Mrs.?
No, like when they have people when people have their name repeated back to you, they like that.
Oh, yeah.
But
taught us to work hard.
Yeah, but it's like,
but it was tied with being a sucker.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, what do we now that you're an uncle? It's like, what are you gonna? Are you know, you got to take pride in what you do, and what are you gonna pass down to, you know, the next?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is like money isn't everything.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest thing.
Like. That's the biggest stressor that we have.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's because of how we were raised that, like, when we told them what we wanted to do with our life, the first thing they said was,
I would never charge my mother rent.
That's a story for another pod.
Nah, I don't know if we're ever going to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll turn it into a movie. But,
you know, well, yeah.
I think what, Benjamin just needs to know that he can be honest with him. Like, just be on. Just tell me, like, what are you feeling?
Yeah.
Not like these things are bad, these things aren't.
Yeah.
The money thing is the biggest thing. Like if you are a hard worker, you will be able to make money.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what. And when we told mom and dad what we wanted to do with our lives, first thing they said was, "You better have a backup."
Yeah.
And if Benjamin says that to me, I'm going to say, go for it, man. You are a hard worker. You will succeed. Because even if he doesn't, he's going to end up someplace better because he's working hard.
I was watching a guy on TikTok, and he was like, the worst thing that people say to their kids when their kids want to do something is like, well, there's no money in that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can monetize anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, hopefully the rest of society, you know, can...
Well, you know, I also want to end on a note of, like, as fucked up as we can portray our parents sometimes, they were like, I'm so grateful we had dad as our dad instead of his brother, and I'm glad we had mom instead of the majority of her siblings, aside from Aunt Debbie.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Would you want Aunt Arlene as a mom?
She is very nice. I mean, she is. I do like. I like talking to her a lot, and she's very approachable and friendly.
And the last time I talked to her, she was talking to me about the thing she reads.
Yeah, she just likes Candace Owens too much. They're on the fucking race. They're on the race shit way too much.
That's all Annerline talks about with her when she worked.
Yeah.
How like she was passed over for promotions because of affirmative action.
Let it go.
It's like you still did well.
And she likes to listen to fucking, Candace Owens and all that shit. But it's like, I want to tell them, like, why don't you just... Can you just read a little bit about the black experience in this country? I know that I'm sure that probably sounds sanctimonious or whatever, but
no, but it'll shatter their whole worldview.
Yeah,
like the idea that some people have it off worse than them. When they had it so hard themselves,
right.
Is like it'll crumble their whole.
Read Malcolm X's biography and think about why he hated the white man so much. What could it have been about the white man that was so terrible? We got to wrap this up. I got to go. But thanks for being here. Great to have you here in person. Hopefully we'll do this again. I wish we could do a few more of these, but I got to fucking... I think I agreed to a show tonight where I do improv, which I don't know. It's fine. It'll be whatever.
All right. I know you've made fun of improv before, but it is fun.
Is it?
If you're good, you're good at it. You're funny.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Just go in there and clear your mind, and you'll do fine.
All right. Thanks. All right. That's the show. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
See ya.